So this is the time of Samhain when the veil thins. And we promised you a scary story. And for this, we have to go back in time to when people were not afraid to talk about the things that go bump in the night. So I'm going to ask you the question. There are three creatures that walk this earth that have no right to be here. Do you know those three creatures? Can you name them? The first are the things of the hedges, the fairies and the leprechauns, the banshees that live now in the places of shadow where they hide. The second group are the ghosts of the people that have passed on, but they do not yet know that they are dead, for they have not found the light. And the third cohort are those souls that were hurled out of heaven after Satan on that great battle when heaven and hell divided from one another. So, how would you know that you are in the company of a stranger like this? Well, the old people of Cork, they'd tell you, look at the feet, girl, look at the feet. For these creatures have no right to walk on this earth. And if both feet are even that much up off of the ground, you know that you're in the presence of someone or something that should not be walking this earth right now. And this is a story of one of those creatures. In Shandon, long ago, there was a priest who knew his flock really well, and they knew him, and he loved them, and they loved him. And everything was going great until more and more people came to Cork, a little bit like it is now. And there was great expansion and not enough houses until there was again enough houses in Cork City. And during that time of growing and growing, a knock came to his door, and it was the bishop to say, now we're going to send you some help, a young priest. But when that priest came, he knew all of the rules and all of the regulations, but he didn't know the flock yet. And when a call would come in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, come now, Father, come now, we have need of your services. The old priest would be the first to put his feet on the ground, to pull on the cassock and his coat over it, and to head out on the call. After a week or two, he thought, I better get this young fella, I better get him trained in for what's to come. So that night, there was a knock on the door. And he said, get up now, get up, Father Tom. And the young priest got up complaining and caterwauling and went down to the front door and opened it up and said, yes, what do you want? And there was a fella outside the door. I think his name might have been Paddy O'Brien. And he said, I need you to come. Sure, me father is not well. Come now, he said, follow me. I'll be on the bike and you can come on the pony and trap. And the old priest said, yeah, you go along. He said, you go on this one. And he said, oh, Father, will you come with me? Because he was a bit afraid. And the priest said he would. And as they went up Cathedral Road, everything became very quiet indeed. And when they came to the house where the man was dying, they noticed that not even the leaves on the trees were moving. And just as they were about to turn in the gate, a creature stepped out from behind the hedge. The first thing that Father Murphy did was look at the feet. And on looking down, his blood ran ice cold in his veins, for he couldn't even see the feet and where they might touch the ground. He looked into the creature's face, and there was nothing there, a black shadow where a face should be. And then he heard these words. He didn't know were they spoken out loud, or did he hear them in his head. Go into that man that is dying and ask him to ask God if there is any hope at all for redemption. The priest said, I can't do that. I can't do that in his last minutes. Go! He heard the words, and he flew up the path. And the woman of the house was waiting for him. Oh, Father, she said, I think you're too late. And he went in to where the man was laid out in the bed. And he leaned over him, and it seemed that indeed this man was gone. He said the last prayers. They lit the candle. He put the unction on his forehead, and then he went into the living room, where the woman of the house gave him his sherry with a pioneer's pour, and he badly needed it at that stage. The young priest couldn't even speak a word. After a while, the two of them went down through the garden again, and he was hoping against hope that the creature wouldn't be there. But the creature was there. Well, he said, well, what did the old man say? And the priest said, oh, please, please. The man was already gone to his reward. I couldn't ask him the question. He said, did you try? Did you try? No, said the priest. Go again, he said. Go again, and I'll hold Father Tom here. And Father Tom looked like a statue. He couldn't even move one finger. He couldn't even close his eyes. He was just standing there in shock. The old priest went back up the road again. The woman of the house said, are you all right, Father? He said, oh, one thing I forgot, he said. I'll have a bit of privacy now. And she knew better than to question the priest. So he went into the room where the old man was laid out and closed the door behind him. He sat next to him and said a few prayers, and then putting his hand on the cold hand of the corpse, he asked the question, do all creatures eventually get redemption? And if he did, the corpse opened its eyes and sat up in the bed. Oh, not unless there's one drop of red blood will there be redemption. And he fell back down into the bed again. The priest got such a fright. He had to gather himself, and then he went out where Father Tom and the creature were waiting. Well, he said, well, what's the news? And the priest said, this is what he said, and reported faithfully what the dead man had told him. With that, the creature pulled a shining knife out from his sleeve and started to put it into his own body. Not one drop of red blood came, but a kind of oozing, black-green mess. And then the creature pulled back the hood that had been hiding his face in shadow. And there he saw a wizened face. And the creature said to him, we were looking for redemption. We minded the souls of the people that walk these streets, but now there'll be no reward. So I tell you this, from this moment forward, at night time, when the sun goes down, the roads are for the living, the fields and the doorways for the dead. Tell your people. The priest's head of hair went white in those few seconds. And at Sunday Mass, the following Sunday, he related this story to his congregation. There was no electricity in Cork City in those days, and nobody would be caught out after dark. And they say that's where the saying, I wouldn't be caught out dead, came from.